So, hello everybody. Thank you for inviting us to this beautiful city. We are very delighted. We had a chance yesterday to walk around a little bit and really felt a Polish soul here. So thank you very much. We know why this Hungarian-Polish friendship is so strong, because you have so many similarities. So my lecture today is on the right of the child conceived by medically assisted reproduction to know his or her origin or art, whatever, however you want. We can discuss later these terms. Thank you very much, Cordana. And just to enter into historic city in historic part, I searched a little bit and I found that some historians claim that the first artificially insemination of a woman was in 15th century because the king needed a heir. If this is the true, I don't know, because you know how is history like. So it's just introduction to our theme, to our topic, to see that this problem is really very old. In Croatia, for example, in Slavonia, who is very rich, people did not get married before future lady got pregnant, because they needed to be sure that husband will have a heir. So this fertility is very important, and very often it had some stigma of infertility. So people, like in adoption, people wasn't very keen of telling we adopted a child or we had a child in another way. Also in Croatia, it was a habit. My father used to tell me that if a lady was infertile, she agreed with her husband, and she had to walk in the city park. That was at the beginning of the 20th century, when soldiers had free day. And 9 months later, husband got a hair. So it's something what happened before even, but we didn't think about this. We thought about this problem like of adultery, in fact. And this is also contemporary, because donor story has also some maybe considered as some kind of adultery. So it's this is really the problem. We can have donor semen, use donor semen in vivo, and this is easier because in a way. But Steptoe and Edwards in 1978 managed to achieve the first in vitro fertilization, and they needed to apply a laparoscopy to a woman to take an egg, and this is not very pleasant medical technology for women. It has some risks. And in 1978, the first baby was born, Louisa Brown. She is today alive and healthy, and it seems that everything is fine with her. And they brought really hope for infertile couples, because our gynecologists say if a woman wants a child, she do anything to achieve pregnancy, and if she doesn't, she do anything to terminate the pregnancy, to make an abortion. So this is social reality. We need to be aware of this when we talk about these topics, no matter how ethically we are positioned to these very sensitive questions. So Pandora's box was opened. It brought ethical questions, psychological questions. Nobody talks. In Croatian Act, a couple who needs donors program needs to go through psychological treatment, but later they are out of this. So, you know, marriages are divorcing. So it's a very, very sensitive question. And legal issues, because social parenting, legal parenting, and genetical parenting are now divided. So there are problems. And also in vitro fertilization open possibility towards surrogacy as well, gestational surrogacy, when mother is not genetic mother when I say mother, because the mother is a woman who in Croatia who delivered the child, although in some other states this is not the case, as we know, in Ukraine, in the United States, in United Kingdom, in Portugal as well. So there is also huge financial interest. Some data says that 20.5 billion income was earned in 2018, and it will be doubled till 2026. So when we talk about this, this is a huge lobby that earns a lot because of the misery of women, and there are also many criminal acts connected with this, because everything has to be transparent. The problem is how to find donors. This is really, because we can have altruistic donation, and we can have donation for a payment. In Croatia and in Europe, it is considered that it should be altruistic, because there is Oviedo Convention, and nobody should gain any money for organs or for tissues or for anything else. So this is the principle. So they say they get some compensation. It is less for men, of course, because it's a much simpler procedure. For donors, and for women, it's more connected with more risks. So even OVA donors, ladies get more money, and I found that in Spain it is 900 euros for a donation of eggs. Of course, some women who have own eggs but need some service from medical clinics also can get some discount for donation of her eggs. When women donate, then there is also there is always word about split motherhood, and who is the mother of the child. Old Roman the mother is the sentence. The mother is the child who gave the birth. If she receives, a woman receives eggs and brings up the child. And I also talked heard very interesting lecture of our biochemics. He says that during pregnancy, gestational mother interchanges so many DNA and other tissues that the child really becomes very close, even biologically, to gestational mother. That's against surrogacy, because it's very difficult to split it. Couples also can donate surplus embryos. It's not so often. And also a problem in Croatia that these couples, we have many, 20,000 surplus embryos, cryopreserved, potential life, or life, as Alabama court ruled yesterday, that embryos are children, in fact, and this is this is milestone judgment brought yesterday in the global sense. But these embryos can't be used because these couples didn't go through health checks, so they are not donors according to ESCRE, European Human Reproduction Society standards. So you can't do anything with these cryopreserved embryos. Just to ask couples to give them the birth, nothing else for this moment, and they're not destroyed in Croatia. And also we have another problem of interfamilial medically assisted reproduction when one member of family donates gametes to another one, and then even a very liberal gynecology says that then there are mixed up family roles because it has to be opened, and then who is my mother, who is my grandmother, who knows that it sounds very nice, but because it's not paid, but in fact it is, I think, quite dangerous for family relations. Usually there was anonymity of donors because the use of gamete donor has been based on the same principle of anonymous donating without payment as organ donors, as I said. And anonymity was a good way to encourage gamete donation. Also in history, we had donors, but male donors, the same soldiers who didn't walk around but came into the medical clinics for some, or students for some compensation. But there is a problem because there are possibly too many offspring going around. You'll see maybe 6 months ago, a donor from Dutch donor was forbidden to give sperm anymore because they found he had 550 children and walking around. Because he went to one clinic, then to another country, so he was quite rich after this, and maybe he helped in demographic sense, but what does it mean? Are you my brother? So, yes, spiritually, I would like to have such a brother. But another problem is that it is assumed, there are not quite research that maybe half, approximately, there were only in the United States, the half past of children conceived by a donor, and they know they're conceived like this, that they search their origin, identity of donor, not just general informations. And these children have set up associations campaigning for the recognition on the right to know their origin. One of these associations is here, and they have different interests because it is connected, as somehow legal theoreticians have found out, with their right to know their identity and the right to personal development, because you can't know who you are if you don't know where you're coming from. They also have medical or health considerations, if they have any hereditary diseases and how to cure them. And also they have a combination of issues because they don't want to have children with their close relatives, so they need to know who they are. So a lack of knowledge of their biological past places these individuals in a state of uncertainty and fear of developing disorders. It's stated special rapporteur for a committee of ministers, as it is cited before. Another way to help these children to establishing, as they are, gene databases, they are voluntary. And also, when I read for some other research, I found that in the United States, one man got, as a present from his wife, DNA family genealogical search. So he found that he has 70 half brothers and half sisters. So they somehow contacted. And one of the sisters told him, you know, there are more of us, but they are not in this database. So this is one way how to find relatives. It costs a little bit, 100 euros. It is quite interesting because people could do this for fun and find very, very interesting informations. Some obstacles to donors' anonymity are the parents' right to privacy, and it's really difficult. In our act, we have obligation of parents to tell the child that she or he is conceived by donors' gametes, but it is not enforceable. Only if the child finds out, could sue his or her parents because I think the breach of the right of personality. But I've never heard about such case, only something similar but abroad in Germany. And it is also the possible risk of destabilizing the legal family, the donor's right to privacy, and the risk of gamete donations drying up because nobody would donate. And it happened in Croatia. We have for more than 10 years non-animus donation, and there is no donations at all. So it's something against nature, I think. What would stop a person to donate if this is quite natural? It also depends, maybe not, it can be natural, but also public opinion and some other reasons. Conventions on the rights of the child has very soft law, as we know, the Article 7, the right of the child as far as possible, the right to know and be cared for by his or her parents, and Article 8, the child's right to preserve his or her identity, including his or her family relations. Genetical, it's impossible, but legal. It's not applicable because new parents are not are their parents, child's parents, and the child is related to new family without unlawful interference. But interesting, the government Luxembourg, because of birth under X, secret birth, due to anonymity of mother, just to prevent newborn child killing, they said we have a reservation towards in accordance with connected to Article 7. But the Committee on the Rights of the Child repeatedly pointed out that this right includes the rights of the child to know their genetic identity, especially when the children are conceived by artificial insemination, toward Denmark already in 1995. So legal reasoning is not so new, and then Norway and Ireland, but they all have an anonymous donation. But the problem is that it is only the right of the child till the age of maturity. But when the child is 18, and usually it has the right after 18 years, rarely before. In Europe, there are not specific judgments of the European Court, so there are some analogy, but the court recognized the right to identity as an aspect of the right to respect for family life, and then the court always takes into account the margin of appreciation, considering the specific country. It points out that fair balance between different interests should be stricken, and so it's also a little bit relative toward the right of the child. And then we have the Hague Protection of Children and Cooperation in respect of intercountry adoption. It's also the right to identity as an important right, and it is new EU regulation, and our gynecologists argue that this will also force the states to introduce anonymity because they request traceability of gametes. So this way should be, this road should be very clear and open from the beginning to the end. But also we have a recommendation, a soft law of the European Court, anonymous donation of spermatocytes, balancing the rights of parents, donors, and children. they also this recommendation talks about balancing rights, but there is a proposal of new recommendation, and CDCJ proposed it that and had in plan that it should be adopted till the end of 2025 by the Committee of Ministers. So very new approach and very radical approach. Anonymity should be waived. The fact that the child knows the donor should have no legal consequences for filiation. The donor-conceived child should be given the option to contact the donor, but not the donor should not have the right to know who the child is, as well as possible half siblings. And it opens some other questions, we'll see. Then national and European person register of child and conceived by donor gametes should be established. And this data should be open to another states, because it's the problem of course, of inter-country, cross-border medical services. And it's, of course, very important to enforce an upper limit on the number of possible donations, not to have too many siblings going around. The anonymity of gamete donors should not be lifted retrospectively, except for medical reasons, and always donation must remain a voluntary and altruistic gesture. So we'll see what will happen. Maybe this medical lobby will say no, because if this will be introduced, there will be a huge problem with donors, because there will not be donors. And I heard in Portugal, maybe you will know better, they had a huge campaign for donations, and they managed to establish then some donor program in Portugal as well, not to be forced to import sperm from abroad, as this is our idea right now in Croatia. And I'm a little bit skeptical about this. Something about demographic importance. There are different rates of children conceived by broader term medically assisted reproduction, or ART here. Sorry, here is only ART. 7.9% in Spain, 1.7% in Poland, as far as we know, and in Croatia, 5%. And this, and my question is, as we heard last time, is this demographically relevant? And I heard last time, thank you very much, our answer, the answer was no. Because 5% is nothing for revitalization, so it's not demographic argument, although Croatian government now brought a demographic strategy, and this strategy was stressed that we should have more donation program, and that we should force donation program by importing gametes. But it's so sensitive question. When I gave an interview, maybe because we had anniversary of first child conceived by IVF in Croatia, and then all in National Medical Commission for Medical Assisted Reproduction, they said, you shouldn't talk about this, they will stop this, it's not politically acceptable, this is silence, this is top secret, as you said. We'll just try to introduce this without too many argumentation about this. It is not so important, and but the problem is that our health insurance sent patients abroad. And then we started to discuss, I warned them that there is a realistic dangers that this couple, these kids, donor conceived kids, will sue one day the state because they allowed their parents and paid for it to go to Czech Republic or to Macedonia to be conceived there by anonymous donor. So he's responsible. The state, Croatian state as well, because they helped them to be conceived. Very interesting, but I don't know how it would be, how such case would be finished. And what is the future? Some scientists say that by 2045, couples may have to use, most couples would be forced to use assisted, it's very old-fashioned, assisted reproduction technologies. It's very close, in 20 years. This is my grandson. Future, I have a son of 16, so it's very possible my grandson or granddaughter. But I think that a better solution and first straw would be to motivate couples to have children before. Because if they delay parentage, because due to different, very complex reasons, then the chance to get pregnant, to bring a child to the world is lower and lower. So it's biological fact, nothing new. And we have to safeguard the welfare, the best interests of the child. We need to have holistic approach. It's very sensitive question. I know Donum Vitae and other documents of considering ethical questions and theological questions. And it's not to say we have nothing to do. This is also one part of our debate. We need to balance different rights, and and it's interesting that also it's not that we need to have new legal instruments, because some also in this recommendation is proposed to have future agreements on future connections between donor, child, and parents, who can contact him when, in what circumstances, by what means. So it's very interesting. But at the very end, the best interests of the child, what we are going to hear later today, should be always the paramount consideration, and a very I can't wait to hear your lecture, Lina, as well. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope to see you.